Hi, you're with IndiaPostLive.com, India's first online news conversation portal, and it's of course all about you. So we want you to come into this conversation, and the conversation today is about cricket. Yes, the big semi-final of the T20 World Cup. That's today, Sri Lanka versus the West Indies. So first, let's see how the road for the both teams have been so far. All right, and we'll try to get that to you in just a little bit. But it's been an interesting run up in the tournament. Both the Sri Lankans and the West Indies had a bit of a tough fight in their in their group matches, but then they managed to sustain, managed to get that momentum through. And we'll be talking about that. We have with us in the studio Tala Masood Siddiqui. He's a cricket commentator, aspiring cricket commentator, and also runs a very famous blog called allaboutcricket.wordpress.com. And Shekhar Luthra, of course, is our resident cricket expert. He's with, of course, he's the assistant editor of DNA newspaper with sports. Shekhar, I'll start with you. As far as this match goes, what do you think? How do you see this shaping up? What's the confidence level of both teams coming into this match?
I think for West Indies, there's nothing that that can stop them because this team is meant for T20. I don't see this team playing more of Test cricket or the one days, but this team definitely suited for this kind of format. And for Sri Lanka, I think this is the best combination that you can actually ask for. They have one of the best batting sides in the world, and then in the bowling, along with Rangana Herath, how he destroyed in the last game. I think this team is coming up in a big way because this team was in a transformation phase, and a lot of new players have come in, chipped in, and also right now the way they are playing, the way they are performing, I think one of the best sides. And but again, when we talk about T20. I still believe if you have Chris Gayle and if he has not fired till now, that's a very sad thing for the opposition because he is the one. If he delivers, then match is over in two or three overs.
All right, Tala, before I come to you, I just want to remind our viewers, IndiaPostLive.com is the name of the website. You can go over there, log in and post your comments. Also, hashtag IndiaPostLive to your tweets, and then you can be part of this conversation. But Tala, it's a grudge match. 2012, Sri Lanka versus West Indies was the final, and Sri Lanka got the worst of it. This time around, Sri Lankans would be wanting to extract sweet revenge, won't they?
Yes, absolutely. And just to adding what Mr. Shekhar was saying here, that the composition of West Indies, of course, is suited for this format, but we cannot count Sri Lanka out. And bear in mind that Mahila Jayawardene and Sangakkara both are playing their last T20 tournaments. They'd want to bring that cup home, and they're the team that has not won it. West Indies has won it. So they'd really want to go out and make sure that they play their heart out and get some runs. Of course, Rangana Herath is going to be very dangerous because I was just reading a statistics in the morning. This is the lowest scoring T20 World Cup ever. So the wicket is slow, and that's why the slow bowlers are getting their getting wickets at will. So that's going to be very interesting. Chris Gayle loves the ball coming on his bat. He's not getting that in this World Cup, and maybe that's the reason why he's not fired.
Well, that's a surprise, Shekhar, isn't it? Because with subcontinent pitches, you expected them to be completely batsman friendly and you would see scores in almost in the range of 150 to 200. But that hasn't been the case. Even if there have been those scores, the bowlers had something in this tournament, didn't they?
Yeah, there is difference between a good wicket, batting wicket, and then a substandard wicket. This is a complete substandard pitches that has been rolled out for this World Cup. I'm very surprised. How come Bangladesh has not been able to take any home advantage? I'm very surprised that nobody is actually complaining about these wickets because this suits us more because we can adjust to these kind of wickets more often than the foreigners. But again, the kind of cricket that we have witnessed during the World Cup, I think this is one of the worst in recent years. And mind it, even our batsmen have struggled. Chris Gayle, I can understand. He loves to have, ball coming onto the bat. But what about the other players? Shikhar Dhawan is not scoring. Virat Kohli is struggling. Dhoni, yes, when he comes there, at a number 5 or 6, he can always adjust. And he has that ability to adjust to any kind of wicket. But again, most of the top players, they have not been able to fire. And then in the bowling department also, if the ball is spinning right from the first ball, or if even in a 40 over match, T20 match, think about a match, if we have to play 1 day or a 5 day on the same kind of wickets, probably this could be worst rather than, I remember we were talking about Kotla wicket when the match was called off in
Yeah, you broke
2011.
that story,
Yes,
I remember.
yes. So, I mean, that wicket was probably much better than these kind of wickets. But only thing is, the bounce is on that particular wicket was on a higher trajectory. But otherwise, I think these are the worst wickets that I have seen in recent years.
Oh, that's an interesting comment. One of the worst wickets. Tala, would you agree with that?
For a T20 format, definitely. I mean, just going by the first ball, if you see the first ball, there have been times when the first ball has turned square, and a new ball turning square is unacceptable in cricket.
And that to new ball being bowled by a spinner. I mean, it's not a old ball that you are giving it to a spinner, then he's turning it square. This is very, pathetic standard of wickets. I don't know why ICC is not taking care. But again, as long as your format is, selling as well as you are getting the right kind of eyeballs, I think nobody tries to complain. And that's been a problem with cricket. Why cricket is deteriorating, why people are getting away from cricket. This could be one of the big reasons. If you look at it in the last 6 years of IPL, we have been delivering lot of poor wickets, but nobody is complaining as far as people are coming, as far as you are getting the money, and that's been a sad part about cricket.
All right, so let's talk about the good part about cricket. Tala, you wanted to comment?
Just the last bit that I wanted to add to what Mr. Shekhar was saying. I think as far as his T20 cricket, it's not about cricket.
Yes.
It's just about getting the crowds and having a fun time. But the minute you shift, if this wicket was an ODI wicket, everybody would have been complaining. That's just what I want to add to that.
All right, interesting point you make over there as far as the wicket goes for this tournament.
But that's only he's admitting, not the ICC or not the BCCI chaps. They have been saying that probably this is going to be the main cricket for them because they are making a lot of money. And that's where, if we are talking about cricket or the outside cricket things, then this is being a problem that cricket is facing right now. Cricket is in crisis, and we have been saying it for last 6-7 years, but probably cricket administrators they are not admitting it.
So in the long term, this could really damage the game.
This has already damaged the cricket. Look at the world cricket. What is happening in last 6-7 years? No cricket team is able to play more than 3 days of Test cricket. Every test is being decided in less than 4 days. So that's the kind of cricket we are witnessing these days.
All right, we have a Skype caller coming in. Ashok is a former Ranji player and he joins us from Ghaziabad. Ashok, your comments or views about the big match today? We've been talking about the state of cricket, but what about this match today, Sri Lanka versus the West Indies?
So far my views are concerned about this match between Sri Lanka and West Indies. I can say very well that Sri Lanka has a big edge because they have the potent spinners which most probably the West Indies will not be able to handle. But the other thing, so far the state of cricket, they are saying that T20 has killed cricket. I can say it has made Test cricket much better because now we are saving the result-oriented Test matches. In the past, when I was very young, I could see Test matches being played for 5 days and just they were scoring 150 or 170 runs a day. That's my viewpoint. I can say what this I can say this T20 cricket has added to the I can say the interest in the game. Now the people are watching more and more cricket. I have gone to this one. I have watched this Boxing Day cricket. I was very much surprised to see 1 lakh people were attending that test match, and because the test matches are becoming more oriented, I feel that this 2020 cricket match is adding to the test match results, and more and more people are getting interest in the game.
All right, so I'll Shekhar let you respond to that before we come back to the
very interesting comment what he made. I'm saying that there are 2 ways of looking at it. One is technically. Technique has deteriorated. Other way is what this gentleman was saying, that we are getting to see lot of runs in 1 day, which is completely all right because the fitness levels have improved. Only thing which has improved because of IPL or T20 is the fitness levels. I do agree with that. But apart from that, apart from getting to see more than 250 or 300 runs per day, I think if we talk about technical aspects, which normally a general public doesn't care about, they are more interested in getting 4s or 6s on the ground. But as a cricket expert, as someone who has played cricket for over 16 years, I would not like to see technique getting deteriorated because of this. And also the kind of pace bowlers now we are getting. We are getting gentle military kind of pace bowlers.
Yeah, everybody's going in only for the variations.
Only for the variations.
They're bowling more
Yeah,
slower balls than actual
there is
pace
only
bowlers.
Dale Steyn for that matter, or couple of other bowlers who are actually trying to bowl in a way which we used to see during the Great West Indies days. So in a way, there are both ways, both
So there are
kind
two sides of a coin, as they often say. But I want to come back to the match because we have been getting a lot of viewer comments, and I'll just share a couple with you. One, of course, is about Herat, and Vikas Huda writes in that Herat's spin is expected to stand out in this one. Would you agree that the pitch, of course, is helping, but then the quality of a bowler cannot be dismissed?
No, absolutely. I remember a comment that I think Harsha says very often: you still have to put the ball in the right areas. The pitch can be turning square, but you have to still put it there. And I think Herat has proved himself over and over again. He's a very experienced bowler. Those 4 overs are going to be very crucial for the West Indies, and how they handle the West Indies Sri Lankan spinners is going to be very crucial. But then again, even in the West Indian team, they have players like Sunil Narayan, they have Samuel Badri, who are not bad bowlers. I mean, they are very, very, I would say, utility cricketers, and they're very sharp because they play a lot of T20 cricket around the world. They are the freelancing cricketers, and they play
cricket mercenaries. So
yeah, and they play a lot of T20 cricket around the world. The KFC Big Bash, the BPL, the Bangladesh Premier League, the IPL. So they know how to handle situations, and I think that is a switch that players need to make from a Test format to an T20, because a T20 can change within 2 balls. A Test maybe it might not.
All right, that's a very interesting point he makes over there about the West Indian cricket side. The West Indian cricket team their players play in almost every country throughout the season, and that kind of an experience many in the Sri Lankan side won't have.
And both boards are going through a very bad times because financial crunch is there. Both boards have a problem with their players. They have not, in fact, Sri Lankans have not even signed their contracts. So in a way, what he is saying is completely correct, because more of these players, especially the West Indies, they are more interested in playing this T20 format because that brings them a lot of money and quick money. Whereas Sri Lankans are in effects because there are old generation players also, and the new generation is also coming up. If this problem will continue to persist, then probably they can also head in the same way. But right now, yes, there are purists of cricket there, like Sangakkara is one of the top players. I would rate him, and then Mahela Jayawardene, probably a wall like Rahul Dravid. And whole this team as a combine, I would say this is probably the best setup that you could actually get from the entire teams playing there. But the difference between the two players is probably what he said, the same kind of bowlers, but the trajectory of the ball. That's very important, because we are seeing a same kind of bowlers, right arm leg spinners or the left arm spinner, whether it's Rangana Herat or Badri or for that matter Sunil Narayan. They are similar kind of bowlers, but only thing is probably the trajectory is little bit different. The flight is little bit different. It is all about zipping the ball in the air rather than pitching that and getting it square. The more you toss it up, and the more it will spin, the more it will deceive you. It is all about during our playing days. Now you can hardly hear it. People used to say, he deceives you in the air. What is deceiving in the air? That is about the trajectory. I remember Bishal Singh Bedi when he used to bowl, or for that matter a lot of other off spinners also. They used to toss the ball in a way that you come forward and you are still away from the ball. Ball used to dip a little bit, and that's the way and that's probably the difference between Rangana Herat or Badri or Rangana Herat and Sunil Narayan. You can't be so predictable about Rangana Herat, but probably you can predict Sunil Narayan's.
All right, interesting point you make over there. But Ashok, you wanted to come in and with a comment about this present match that we're talking about, and especially the role of the spinners.
Yes, spinners will be having a big role to play because the pitches are like that. They have been prepared for the spinners only. And another thing which I want to add here, see, the state of cricket is gone such now the players are like that. They are not able to read the bowlers' hands. If you see the Hera taking 5 runs, 5 wickets for just 3 runs, most of the players were not able to read his hand. So that means there is a lot of this one education required at the players level also, how to understand and how to see, because there are so many weapons with the spinners now. They can 3 or 4 types of balls the spinner is able to bowl, and the more important is that the batsman should be able to understand how understand to read his hand. So that is the one thing. Another thing is the spinners will be playing a big role, because as I said, the pitches are being made for the spinners, and it is more oriented towards bowlers, and batting is becoming a little bit difficult. But only the best player like we have in Kohli, who is much better a batsman against all types of spinners, will be more successful than players like Rohit or Shikhar. Thank you.
Is spot on, spot on. I think that's basically the, somebody who has played cricket, probably he can only understand. The batsmen are not able to read your hand. That's where the problem comes, because most of these younger days cricketers, they are being brought up in a way that they are more interested in
first ball
reverse
they were trying to
sweeps
reverse
and,
sweep.
yeah, reverse sweep, or just go out or come back, that kind of thing. But overall, yes, that's been a problem, because in the older days, in the purist of cricket, cricket always says that see the hand, where it is being delivered, see the seam, because where the seam will go, the ball will travel in the same way. So same with the spinners, see the hand, whether ball is being delivered from the back of your hand or the front of your hand. If the back of the hand, then probably it's going to be a googly, which that's a kind of deliveries which is probably right now probing more of the batsmen, and they are troubling them.
Talang?
Uh, yes, I completely agree. But I would still go back and say that the players need to play those many balls to get experience to read the ball. Many players, 18, 19-year-olds, they get into the IPL and they get only 20 overs to play. And of that 20 overs, maybe 8 overs or 9 overs would be spinners. And once those players go into test matches, they are playing 25, 30 overs of spin bowling and quality spin bowling. So you need to play those many overs also to understand and read it off the hand. And we were talking about the flight, the minute a batsman sees the ball above his eye line, his immediate reaction is to hit it over the covers. But then he tries to come on and the ball dips, and he's either stump or bowled or LB or whatever. So I think that yes, it's a very good exhibition of spin bowling this tournament, but still it's a very limited exhibition because it's T20 cricket and the Test cricket is very different ball game altogether.
All right, but let's get in another tweet. Neela Kadani has tweeted in that, will Gale fire West Indies to victory, or will spin do the trick for Sri Lanka? We talked about Sri Lanka and the spinner and of course Herat, but what about Chris Gale? And there was another interesting comment that had come in from Bose Ronnie, who writes that Gale never delivers when needed.
Well, this is whether we call it allegation or this is, yes, this has been a problem. Gale is a very moody player. If you come across, Gale, if you have spoken to him, I can tell you that he's very moody. I remember one instance, during
He's like
the World
Sehwag
Cup.
on one of those lazy days,
No, not like. He's very moody. If he likes to talk to you, it's fine. Otherwise, he'll keep you waiting and then say, "Oh man, I'm not in a mood." Same thing happened to me during the 2011 World Cup. I went there. I asked for an interview. He said, "Yes." Maybe after 2 hours, I'm going to practice. I said, "Okay, fine." I was the only one there, so I thought maybe I'll have a good interview. After 2 hours, he came, he saw me. "Oh, mate, I'm just coming back." And then another 40-45 minutes he took for, cooling down and all. When he came, he just hold my, shoulder. He said, "Man, can we talk tomorrow?" A big interview. I'm not in a mood. And he just walked out. So that's the kind of, attitude that Gale has. He's very moody, and that's what, that shows in his batting. Sometimes he can deliver you, 17 balls, 70 runs, and the other day 70 balls and 17 runs. That's been a problem with Gale. But overall, I think you have to motivate these kind of players. You have in the team meetings, in the, otherwise when you are warming up, when you are gearing up for action, you have to motivate these kind of players. I remember that one great instance of, early 90s. when West Indies were first time, they were beaten in West Indies. That was Richard's last series, and all these players were actually getting, this team was getting shattered completely. So that time, it was Ambrose who just walked up to, this Lara. He said, "Mate, you score 100. We have won the toss. I'll get you 5 wickets. We'll win this match." And they were 4-0 down in that series. Exactly. They took the batting. This Lara scored 100 and few runs, and Gale came back, took 7 wickets, then again 6 wickets in the next. They won it by an innings. That's the kind of inspiration probably you need from when you have players like this.
Alright, but the West Indies saw that little bit of inspiration against the match against Australia. Isn't that right, Tala? I mean, they were firing on all cylinders. They suddenly gelled as a unit.
They did, and that's an advantage that West Indies have. Just go through the lineup. Dwayne Bravo, Chris Gale, Samuels, all of these guys. If they are on song, 200 is a belter. I mean, it doesn't matter where they're playing. The only problem is that even for Gale, he needs to just come in and maybe spend an over or two just to get his nerves calmed down. I remember an IPL semi-final or a final when he was playing against for RCB, and he had hit brilliantly throughout that tournament, but he came into that final and failed. And they lost the match only because maybe it's the big tournament, maybe it's the big match that he cannot perform, but maybe this needs to tell himself, I can score 100 of 20 deliveries. I need to spend 5 just to trying to get adjusted. But I would tell you, I will still put my money on Gale. If he gets going, Sri Lanka is in trouble.
I think the strategy should be in the team room meeting. The strategy should always be that they should be telling Gale, come what may, whether you score 10 or you score 100, but go there and spend
because he's
spend
that
10
kind
overs.
of a figure that when the opposition cars in front of, they literally are scared of him. He's that imposing of figure.
There is a fear, and not just physical fear, but actual fear of his bat as well. I mean, once he gets going, he can really murder a bowler. And these grounds are by no means small grounds. They're fairly big size grounds, and he can clear them at will. So I think if I was the West Indies coach today, I would just go up to him, sit for him for 15-20 minutes and tell him that, look, this is the game that we need you at your best. You want a day off, don't practice, go listen to your Calypso music, come back and perform for us.
Yes, so let's see whether Chris Gale can do the Gangnam style dance that he does when he gets excited. Ashok, I'll give you the final word before we let you go from the show. As far as the West Indies are concerned, what do you expect of them?
Hello, you are asking this question to me? Yes.
Yes.
I feel, you see, we should not talk of Gale only. There are much better players in Sammy and Bravo. So they are much bigger hitters, I can say, as Undid, and they are in the group. So Gale is there, but maybe he is not physically that fit. That is the reason he is not able to play at his best. But so far as this match between West Indies and Sri Lanka is concerned, I again say that Sri Lanka has an edge because they have better potent weapons in their spinners. And the other thing is that on a given day, West Indies can do anything. They can score 200 runs and they can be all out for 30 runs also. So this is a very difficult proposition to say who has an edge. But I can say it is 60-40 in favor of Sri Lanka.
60-40 in favor of Sri Lanka, but there's an interesting tweet coming in. And Ashok, thanks very much, and we look forward to having you in on the conversation. There's a tweet that's come in from at Snow Leopard who says that Malinga to lead the Sri Lanka in the semi-final after Chandimal has opted out. How does that change things?
Well, very interesting because Malinga is somebody who has not been tested as a leader. So probably that will put more pressure. I would never have any pace bowler as a skipper rather than because that is again
unless of course you're Imran Khan.
I mean, that's legend, but players like Malinga, that is again putting a lot of pressure on him, and you have to understand he's going to bowl the death overs, and he's probably the best during that duration. So, but again, this is again a new challenge, and
how does that change things according to you, Tala?
I think it brings into a lot of question as to where the field positions are going to go now, because Malinga is definitely going to be bowling the 17th or the 19th over.
Yes.
And in those 2 overs, he'll have 2 pressures of trying to put the ball in the right areas and then trying to make sure the fielder's in the right point, and that adds a bit pressure to any batsman. To any bowler.
But again, I think it will just be that he has been named because of
Yeah,
certain
probably.
crisis. But I think being a wicketkeeper there and Sangakkara and Jayawardene, I think he'll not have to take care of the field
Yeah,
placement.
probably.
They will be probably taking care
They
of the field
they
placement.
they have two former captains
Yes,
in
and I
their
want to
ranks.
talk about those former captains because this could be the last time that we're seeing them in a T20 match. They've been phenomenal performers, excellent batsmen. I mean, the world looks at them in technique. They've been world-class batsmen. Talk a little bit about them, Tala, Sangakkara and Jayawardene. This could be their final T20 match.
Well, the stage is set up. Let's be very honest for them. They can sign it off. Sri Lanka has not won a major tournament after '96, right? And we are into 2014 now. The stage is set up for two probably best buddies, legends of Sri Lankan cricket to just come in there and set it up for Sri Lanka. But I would still say that Mahela Jayawardene is going to be very dangerous because he's technically perfect, and the best thing about him is that he gets you runs with good cricketing shots, and that is something that all young batsmen should look up to. In T20 format, he gets you runs and phenomenal amount of runs with good cricketing shots, and same is the case with Sangakkara. And those two batsmen, if Sri Lanka is batting first, I'll put my money on these two batsmen to come in there, spend maybe an over or two, and then just take it, set this innings up for Sri Lanka.
Shikhar, one amongst the best in terms of the spirit of the game, the true gentleman of the game. So, what are your experience with Sangakkara and Jayawardene? I mean, you've interacted with them over the years.
I think Sangakkara is one of the best batsmen that I have seen from the Sri Lankan side. Of course, there were De Silvas, Rana Tungas, but Sangakkara has delivered on every single wicket around the world. He has scored in Australia, in South Africa, everywhere, wherever he has visited. Whereas, if you talk about Mahela Jayawardene, he's, again, as I have said, he's like Wall. He's like our Rahul Dravid, very gentleman and a very thorough professional. And in the crisis situation, probably, you can always bank upon him.
And very competitive.
And very competitive.
Both of them, very competitive.
And they complement each other. I remember when Mahela Jayawardene was leaving captaincy and Sangakkara was taking over, there were a lot of talks. I was in Australia 2007, I think. And a lot of talks about there is a rift and all. And Mahela Jayawardene came out in the press conference with Sangakkara and said, come on, this is my choice. I want to just enjoy my cricket now. And probably he's the man to take you forward. And exactly that's what happened over the years. There was no rift between these two guys, and probably that has helped Sri Lankan cricket to survive, because there has been a lot of crisis in terms of board politics and players politics. So and they have also propped up a lot of youngsters like Angelo Matthews. Angelo Matthews is one player who has been given captaincy ahead of so many, because these two players believe that he is the right kind of guy.
They've been nurturing players as well.
And they have been nurturing. So in a way, I would still go with Sri Lanka, because this is the right kind of balance, and people, and the youngsters especially, they should try and learn from these two legends rather than looking at all those sling bangs and trying to copy that. So this is probably a very, very balanced and very good team.
All right, final comments, gentlemen. I'll take. Before we go, I'd like to remind our viewers that you too can be part of this conversation. IndiaPostLive.com is the name of the website. Go log in there with your comments and hashtag IndiaPostLive to your tweets to join in the conversation. Somebody's written in. Sri Valsan has said that Sri Lanka is his favorite. What about you? For this match, final comments. Tala, first you.
Definitely Sri Lanka are the favourites, purely riding on their experience in their batting and their bowling. But I will not count West Indies out.
I mean, they did that last time around.
They're a very dangerous side, and if they click, they can win this match. But it is still probably 60-40 Sri Lanka.
Sri Lanka definitely favourite, but I'll still put one rider. If Gale plays more than 8 to 10 overs,
absolutely,
it's Sri Lanka. It's West Indies.
And as far as the spinners go, who will win the battle
Definitely,
of the spin?
Sri
Herat
Lanka
or Narayan?
Herat is much better in these conditions. And Narayan, obviously, the last match was really, the way he managed his bowling, I think that was exemplary. But overall, I think spin or pace, it is always Sri Lanka. It is only the difference is Chris Gale, and that's what I want to see.
Narayan, if Gale doesn't fire.
The Lion, he doesn't fire. Well, on that note, we'll leave it at that, gentlemen. But of course, this conversation would continue right over here. We'll see how the results come in. Who wins, Sri Lanka or West Indies? Write into us. IndiaPostLive.com is the name of the website. You can go there, log in with your comments or hashtag IndiaPostLive to your tweets about this match, the big semi-final of the T20 World Cup. And we'll of course be talking about India as well. India take on South Africa. That'll be coming up in a bit. But for now, thanks very much for joining in the conversation. Thanks so much, Shekhar, and thanks so much, Tara, for coming in. Well, that's it from now. The conversation, of course, continues right here on India Post Live.